let's take a look at a clip of our next movie, Little Fockers.
Are you still physically attracted to my daughter, Greg?
Pam? Are you kidding? Yes, Jack. Jack, there's never been a problem with that.
Even after her body has endured the hellish ordeal of birthing twins?
Yes, even after that, it's all good. It's all good under the hood.
That's disgusting.
In 2000, we met the parents. 4 years later, we met the Fockers. Now it's time to meet the Little Fockers. I was ready to meet the Little Fockers. In fact, once the movie started, I was liking the music, the backdrop of Chicago with great overview shots, seeing the characters again, but then it becomes a predictable, lazy mess. It takes the easy road and doesn't even try to develop its characters. It plays it straight and safe and formula.
Hey, what's a good word, Grandpa Jack?
This is Jack Burns.
Yeah, I know. I could tell from the caller ID.
Dina and I will be there in approximately 18 seconds.
I'm so excited to see those little Fockers.
It's not horrendous. I wasn't cringing, but it just wasn't really that good. That might have been due to a lot of crew changes. Like Jay Roach, the director of the first two, is not on for this one. It's Paul Weitz. And the actors aren't really doing anything new. It doesn't have a lot of energy behind it. Robert De Niro and Ben Stiller are still going at it as father-in-law and son-in-law, respectively. Stiller and wife Terry Polo are raising their two kids. The Little Fockers mentioned in the title. We see Dustin Hoffman and Barbara Streisand. We see Owen Wilson. We see Jessica Alba. But that's all we're doing, really, is just seeing stars. A lot of the gags are body humor and miscommunication that would all be cleared up if the characters would just sit down and straighten everything out.
I'm just not sure you've instilled the physical confidence for him to shear a face like that.
Jack, do me a favor. Just let go of the reins a little, okay?
I'll let go, Greg, when you show me once and for all when you have what it takes to lead.
I am in control of my family, all right? If I get Henry permission to climb a wall, he can climb a wall. If he says he wants to climb the Empire State Building, and I say it's okay, because I'm in charge, all right? I'm calling the plays now, so you just gotta step back and accept the fact that I have got this.
Whoa! We saw that coming, we see it all coming. It'll probably do well at the box office because people want to see what's been going on with these guys, but I think it's going to lose its fan base when the end credits start rolling. There are a few amusing moments. I liked De Niro's family tree lining up his whole heritage dating back to 1643. There's not even a satisfying conclusion. I was watching it, my eyes were on the screen, and there was just nothing happening between us. The movie started, it did its thing, it was over. I didn't feel like there was any closure at all. Now let's take a look at a clip of our last movie. It's True Grit.
You missed your shot, Cogburn.
Missed my shot! You are more handicapped without the eye than I without the arm.
I can hit a gnat's eye at 90 yards. That Chinaman is running them cheap shells on me again.
I thought you were going to say the sun was in your eyes. That is to say, your eye.
Directors Joel and Ethan Coen have made a career out of creating weirdo characters and dialogue of a flat, passive, and ironic tone. You've seen those trademarks demonstrated in their films such as The Big Lebowski, Fargo, and No Country for Old Men, which they won the Oscar for, to name a few. Now comes True Grit, their first mainstream effort. It's a remake of the 1969 Western John Wayne hit. And the director said they wanted to be more faithful to the Charles Portis novel and his dialogue. Now, I have seen neither the original film nor read the book, and I didn't much like this movie. Here is one of my problems. Jeff Bridges plays the John Wayne role, Marshall Rooster Cogburn. Now, I don't know about you, but it was real tough for me understanding what Bridges was saying half the time. His voice is as thick and scuffed as one of the Boston bank robbers in the town. And since Bridges is playing such a talky character in this picture, I knew this was going to be a problem. The story is the same. A young girl goes back to town to seek revenge for the man who killed her father. She asks for the help of the marshal to bring the killer to justice and go find him. Joining them in the hunt is a proudly boasting Texas Ranger played by Matt Damon, who doesn't help much either in hearing what the characters are saying. And Josh Brolin plays the guy who killed the girl's father. Bridges, Damon, and Brolin might all have their names on the poster, but it is newcomer Haley Steinfeld who gives the film's most effective performance as the young girl. She's got a good handle on the Coens' dialogue style, and it is essentially her story we're following. Now maybe I'll see the film again, but this time on DVD, especially with subtitles. I'm not sure what it is about this Western story in particular that has inspired such renditions and movie transformations. Maybe people appreciate its visual exposition. Oh, the cinematography is fine, to be sure, by frequent Coen Brothers collaborator Roger Deakins, and the film looks just like the Texas outskirts from No Country for Old Men, just chunk a century off of that. Some of the scenes run on far too long, with the dialogue rhythm that goes back and forth that I found more annoying than amusing. And I guess we're supposed to be intrigued by the Cogburn character, but I wasn't. And it's not until the last third where we finally meet Brolin and his even creepier gang of friends. The Coen brothers are at a point in their career right now where they have established their own battlefield in this industry, and I think it's going to be more simple features and gestures and trademarks of theirs that people will appreciate more than their narrative. Now I want to take a look at a holiday classic. It's Frank Capra's 1946 Yuletide epic, It's a Wonderful Life. It's one of those movies you see on a lot of top 10 lists. It was even voted by the American Film Institute as the #1 most inspirational movie of all time. And why is it so inspirational? Why does it make us feel so good? It certainly makes me feel good. I hope it does the same for you. And why has it stood the test of time? Why does it still resonate with us? Well, for one thing, the hero is enormously likable, George Bailey, played by James Stewart, an actor who can effortlessly and convincingly project happiness. We see George in his young adulthood, where he has been managing his father's banking company in his Bedford Falls community when he had real hopes and ambitions to explore the world, but he didn't want to see the company fall bankrupt to the hands of a rival bank chairman, Bedford Falls' own Ebenezer Scrooge, Mr. Potter, played by Lionel Barrymore.
And all because a few starry-eyed dreamers like Peter Bailey stir 'em up and fill their head with a lot of impossible ideas. Now, I say...
Just a minute, just a minute. Now, hold on, Mr. Potter. Just a minute. Now, you're right when you say my father was no businessman. I know that. Why he ever started this cheap penny-ante building alone, I'll never know. But neither you nor anybody else can say anything against his character, because his whole life was... Why, in the 25 years since he and Uncle Billy started this thing, he never once thought of himself. Isn't that right, Uncle Billy? He didn't save enough money to send Harry to school, let alone me. But he did help a few people get out of your slums, Mr. Potter. And what's wrong with that? Roddy, here, you're all businessmen here. Doesn't it make them better citizens? Doesn't it make them better customers? You said that what'd you say just a minute ago? They had to wait and save their money before they even thought of a decent home? Wait for what?
And there's Donna Reed, the high school sweetheart who marries George.
I'm here.
Will you tell that guy I'm giving him the chance of a lifetime? Do you hear? The chance of a lifetime.
He says it's the chance of a lifetime.
Now, you listen to me. I don't want any plastics, and I don't want any ground floors, and I don't want to get married ever to anyone. You understand that? I want to do what I want to do. And you're...
George.
They have a family where they raise their kids, but always in the back of George's head is his quiet frustration for not being able to ever get a minute's rest and being inhibited every day from taking on new adventures. And during this whole exposition, there has been a spiritual arc that will soon come clashing in with George's reality, showing him life in an entirely different way. Now back to the question as to why this has become a holiday perennial every time you watch it. Here's my answer. I think we all see a little bit of us in George Bailey. I think we see a man who is responsible, caring, unselfish, dogged, determined, and we see a man who is disappointed, regretful, implosive, and uncertain. What does George already have for him in that Bedford Falls community? Well, he has a sweet wife and kids. He has a great reputation in his town, always reliable to the common people. He has great motivation of never ceasing to surrender, and in keeping his honesty and integrity everlasting. So no matter which way you look at it, I think we all see a little bit of us in George Bailey, one way or another, one quality or another. Another reason why I think it still stands the test of time is its powerful sentimental aroma, given to the details of the Bedford Falls community, reminiscent of old fairy tales, and it doesn't get bogged down into cheap melodrama. It's upbeat and persistent, just like its great, dogged and determined hero, George Bailey. Today's world has gotten so much more cynical that it's refreshing just to go back to a movie where it was more about characters and dialogue, not about cheap gags. It always makes me incessantly smile. It hasn't lost its touch. It goes back to just the great traditional narrative of just cities and communities and people coming together for the holidays, about family. And I think it's still going to continue just to become a holiday perennial, and I think especially because of its closing last few minutes that just make you feel warm again, all inside.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right. That's right.
Now let's take a look back at the films that we reviewed on today's show. Lights On for I Love You, Philip Morris, a funny, lighthearted movie based on a true story about a wacky con man and his even wackier love story starring Jim Carrey and Ewan McGregor. And for all you FAU owls out there, such as myself, it is currently playing at the living room theaters on campus. Lights Way On for 127 hours. The guy's pocket knife might be dull, but the movie certainly isn't. This is an extremely entertaining picture by Danny Boyle, also based on a true story of a man's struggle to stay alive as his arm is stuck inside a canyon. It is a raw and visceral experience. Lights Way On for another movie based on a true story, The Fighter, a superb entertainment about a boxer played by Mark Wahlberg who has to fight with both his gloves on in the ring and his gloves off against his problematic family. Lights On for Black Swan, a very well-made psychological thriller that is an exercise in extreme paranoia and eroticism for a dancer played by Natalie Portman. Lights Off for Little Fockers, a series that is officially out of gas, with the same tired old gags that we have seen over and over and over. Lights Off for True Grit, that is more a showcase for the Coen brothers' typical use of dialogue and visual exposition than it is real narrative or character development. Okay, of those 6, the ones I strongly recommend are 127 Hours and The Fighter. That wraps it up for this week's show of Reviews RN as we enter a whole new year of movies. I'm Bryce Balkin. Thanks for watching.